You know, Mr. Savage, he's been around for a while. I was like, you know what? How many in-person events has he been to? 13, the most out of anybody competing this weekend. So if we're going to talk about experience, we have to mention Mr. Savage. And honestly, I just love this duo so much because, you know, throughout life, there's a lot of things that work on paper. And we think about Mr. Savage and Vidal. Mr. Savage, very, very smart. But, you know, he has the whole 200 IQ thing going on. Vidal, very, very good mechanically. And it just sounded like it will work. And I'm so happy that it has so far.
Well, you know what I'm excited about? It's an interview. Because guess what? Frankie is standing by with Mr. Savage right now.
I am indeed. And there are so many fans in the arena here in Copenhagen that, of course, we had to talk to Mr. Savage. 13 LAN appearances to your name so far. Do you feel like the experience of playing on LAN has changed much in the years since you've been competing?
I mean, obviously, yeah, the game keeps changing all the time, but yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
And tell me about your relationship with Vidal. He also has, I believe, 7 LAN appearances to his name, so you have so much experience under your belt. Has he taught you anything about performing well on LAN?
Well, I mean, Vidal has been a great duo. We've played together for a while now. He's taught me anything to do on LAN. I think I have more experience than him, but, you know, yeah, he's a great duo.
There's always learnings to be exchanged. I want to ask about this year. It seems like sometimes in game you've been splitting off solo apart from each other, and it hasn't always worked in your favor. Can I ask about why that's been the strategy?
Well, it's just like claiming space on the map, trying to get surge on different people. So I mean, that's basically the play we're going for, but you know, it's risky, so sometimes it doesn't work out.
But the thing is, you don't like being contested, and if you are contested, you can get those Storm Surge tags early. Are you hoping to be contested today at Naughty.net?
No, hopefully we're uncontested. I've been contested way too much. I'm done with it, so yeah, hopefully nobody lands on us.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying 10 grand finals you've been contested at. If someone does drop near you today, would you consider swapping the spot?
No, we're landing Naughty.net no matter what.
And what happens if someone comes to contest you off spawn?
I mean, do I even need to say anything?
I think you need to look down that camera and give them a warning.
Hey, Anon, sons, you better not be coming. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself. Don't come his way.
Oh, man, crowd. I mean, Mr. Savage can hear you guys from up here. Make some noise for him. That is right. We will be seeing more players and, of course, more Mr. Savage as the day goes on. Now, of course, as we're kind of talking about today, don't forget tomorrow, Grand Finals. I have 2 very special friends coming by tomorrow for the halftime show, so you do not want to miss out on that. Let's talk about the format. What does this look like? So if, in case you missed out yesterday, we watched the upper bracket play. Today we'll watch the lower bracket. From today, the top 25 will move on to tomorrow's Grand Finals. Again, pressure is on. For some of the duos are already coming in saying, okay, we didn't make top 25 yesterday. We have to go into tomorrow. Players in the lower bracket are thinking, we've now watched you play. So when you come to our turf, we have advantage. Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of things to kind of consider. Obviously, all of the gameplay that happened in the upper bracket, it's all out there, right? Can be VOD reviewed in any sense, so a little bit of an advantage there. Anybody coming from the Last Chance Major, we haven't really seen them play on the stage yet. But honestly, the one thing that I learned from yesterday is that since we are playing 5 matches and 5 matches only, it makes it come down to the wire, right? We saw many teams actually jump up into the top 25 just because of their performance in the last game.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen that, and we also saw how big of an impact these mid-match objective points had. We saw that make a massive difference today. And why not take a little look at the format as we do that? Of course, first place, 65 points for the victory.
That's right, 4 points for each elimination, and you'll get something for hitting that top 25. But I love that you call out the mid-match objectives. Yesterday was a bit of a weird one, right? A lot of these players didn't really play for the mid-match objective. I mean, yesterday we saw a solo player claim Rift Island, just completely uncontested. Why do you guys feel like this isn't prioritized more? Is it maybe just more of a Grand Finals thing?
I mean, yeah, throughout the majors, right, we saw a lot of teams actually being willing to contest for it, but it seems like now there's just a lot of respect given. Maybe the strategies haven't really been built around Rift Island because they don't want to go for something that is as risky. So usually whoever's the first one up there, they just get it.
It just comes down to experience, I think. It just comes down to experience on that island. You don't want to be trying to do things new. You don't want to think, oh, that's an island, that's worth 15 points. Should we try it? Should we give it a go? It's not worth trying to do that right now. I mean, we saw it yesterday in game 1. Malibu and Thomas HT went for it straight away. There was no no hesitation whatsoever. So for this day, I'm expecting a little bit more hesitation because a lot more is on the line. They don't have another day to fall back on. It's now or never. So maybe we'll see less contestation on that.
I'm so curious myself. Of course, we have players and they are excited. So let's go ahead and meet a couple of them. Check this out.
Qualifying to last chance major, we put off all the pressure off our shoulders and we were really happy. Yeah, I actually started crying right after the qual because I was so happy.
We qualified through last chance because he stole the clutch, a big game where we had absolutely nothing, and we kept it consistent from then on.
Leading up to the last chance major, I wasn't that nervous.
وكنا موافقين بزيادة إنه راح نتأهل لأن احنا من أول اختيار تأهلوا لللاست شانس فاينل.
Qualifying through the last chance major was definitely a sigh of relief. All year round we were kind of close on the edge of it, and finally winning last chance was a great feeling.
I was in my seat like shaking, I'll be honest. Like I was like, all right, like this is actually about to be over if like he gets eliminated right now. And you know, my duo, 6 FNCS wins.
Well, solo clutch.
Little solo clutch, brought it home. You know, the coach could get all mad, but at the end of the day, we qualified. We went to got some cookies, and he fed me the cookies, I fed him the cookies, and yeah, that's about it.
I think the advantages of being on day 2 definitely would be watching the games and seeing how they play, seeing how the lobbies would be, you know, and trying to like plan out the day before after watching the games.
E ver o primeiro dia, como vai ser o primeiro dia, a gente consegue ver como os players vão estar jogando, como que vai ser o meta, como que eles vão estar se posicionando, e a gente já vai entrar com uma visão pouco de como vai ser o campeonato no segundo dia.
I think a lot of people in the lower bracket can do a really good job. People like Clicks and Epic will definitely have a chance of winning the whole thing.
We're definitely in it to win. I mean,
I didn't fly 12 hours to 10-hour layover, another 12-hour flight to not win, you know.
People have never seen us, even if we are on top, people have always called us either lucky or just a one-time wonder, anything else. But I just know we are basically better
マッピーさん、ご視聴ありがとうございます顔ただいま FNX 世界大会応援配信となります。
Coming from the lower bracket, people might underestimate us. Anything can happen, and I'm planning to win.
You saw him there. Clicks, of course, as many of us are fans of. Let's talk about what it looks like for him over in Mega City, going up against Jaemon, who played yesterday, but was in the lower half, the bottom 25. How can we expect this matchup to go?
It's going to be very exciting, right? We have two teams that are used to landing here. Of course, Clicks and Epic Whale have made it their home since coming together. We've seen this duo have a little bit of ups and downs in the cash cups when it comes to being contested or spawn. They haven't actually been performing too great, but sometimes when they make it out of there, they're actually able to find so many Storm Surge tanks and make it to that end game well. Whereas Jaemon and Yuma, yesterday, they had a very, very interesting strategy. They decided to land there uncontested on that northwest side. They didn't take very long there, though, Vivid. They didn't spend very long there at all. They're actually rotating out straight into the center of the map and trying to find Storm Surge tags as they go along. So I'm excited to see what they do today.
Yeah, I love the fact that you kind of bring up that point, because in order for that strategy to really work, you have to be uncontested, right? So I love the fact that you're bringing that up. But also, Clicks and Epic Whale, also in major number 3 and the last chance major, they were used to being uncontested as well. So I feel like the most recent experience for them also kind of involves that sort of scenario. So I feel like both of these duos are kind of going to be thrown off their balance a little bit when it comes to this, fight at Mega City.
Two duos that used to be contested. It's going to be great to see. And from Yuma and Jaemon's perspective, I want to see a little bit more confidence from them. They were getting really, really good Storm Surge damage yesterday. 800 above, 5th zone, around that sort of stage. They were staying on the edge. In that particular situation, I want to see them getting more towards the center, being a bit more risky where they're positioning, because so far, although their rotation's a little bit uncharacteristic for a lot of teams that rotate around there, it seems like it's working out very well, so why not go the full way?
Well, guess what? Frankie is standing by with an interview with Jaemon, so why don't we hear from him himself? Frankie, what you got?
I have got Jaemon, and also I've got Marinus, who's going to be translating for us, because Jaemon is from the Asian region, or more specifically from Japan, where all of our Asian duos have actually come to us from. First of all, thank you for joining me, Jaemon. I would love you to tell us a bit about the playstyle from the Asian region.
日本代表のプレイスタイルってどんな感じですか？
代表安定した立ち回りが一番大きいです。
It's a very stable region.
And so you're very balanced, and that's good to hear. It's your first international LAN. How are you finding your playstyle match against the other regions?
今回はその初めてのオフライン大会でその他の
マッピーさん、ラエルさん、ヤッホ。
どうなると思いますか？
マッピーさん、コウさん、ラーメン食べてます。
やっぱでも他の地域一発でかいのが大きいのでそれをしたいです。
We'd like to kind of just get a lot of points in one go.
Yeah. And so, how about the games today? So you will be playing for a spot in tomorrow's Championship Sunday for the trophy. How will you change what you're doing today to make sure you qualify?
進出するために昨日と比べて今日どう変えますか、プレイスタイルを？
そうですね、リプレイとか見て研究してきたのでそれを変えてやっていこうと思います。
We've watched through a lot of replays, and so we've kind of used that, and we will kind of use that to change our play style today.
Well, Marinus, thank you so much for talking to me, and arigato, good luck. I can't wait to see how Yuma and Jamin do as they take to the battle bus later today.
Thank you so much, Frankie. Jamin focused, right? Playing after yesterday, he knows what they have to do here today. They're aiming their target, top 25. Now, as we kind of continue, there's a couple more Ospawn fights we wanted to highlight here. Hamsu versus Datus. Now, Datus, same situation, played yesterday, but found himself in the bottom 25. What can we expect about from this head-to-head?
Yeah, over at Frenzy Fields, it's a very similar situation to the one that we just checked out, right? One team coming from yesterday, one team just coming in very fresh from the lower bracket, that last chance major in Pamstu and Fatch. And I'm going to be excited to see how this one actually plays out, because if we look at how Datus and Stain performed yesterday as it pertains to the all-spawn situation, game number one, they won against Cammy and Seti, right? And that was actually the only game where they actually made it into the end game and got any amount of points. After that, we saw in game number 5, they tried to switch it up as well, in which they tried to split the drop, but that didn't necessarily work out either.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to split Frenzy Feels like that. I think it is just going to be a full-out 50-50. We've seen Pamster and Fatch winning that a lot of times, and putting a lot of practice into that drop spot. The only issue that they have so far is the third parties that could be rotating on over. It's a very, very 50-50 drop spot. Even Pamster and Fatch, they've tried landing in different areas in previous seasons, previous Cash Cups and weekly finals, and I think it was North Slappy that they were landing. It just didn't work out for them, so I do not see them giving this landing spot up because they know it so well.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, not to mention as well, Hamstone Fatch, also a returning duo from Invitational. They played together in every single major, and we've actually heard it, right? They had to suffer through an injury throughout the year, which, you know, they lost some practice throughout some of the majors. All in all, though, I'm excited to see them perform today.
Yeah, they qualified for the last chance major. This could be their moment, right? They just need that top 25. Guess what? Frankie is standing by with them now to get their thoughts. Frankie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Zeke. I was so excited when I heard that these guys had qualified for the Global Championship. I know, Fats, that you were not happy with your final result at the Invitational. So how does it feel to be getting to compete again here in Copenhagen?
It's nice to have another chance now to prove ourselves again, and like we got to qualify today, being contested probably again, and we've been con the whole chapter, so we're pretty confident on our abilities off spawn, and then we just gotta do what we know how to do, and like we got this. Like,
are you expecting to be contested at Frenzy Fields today?
Yeah, we are, but I think we're very ready for them to contest us, so we're not really scared or anything.
How do you practice for being contested off spawn?
I think it's just by running a couple of 2v2s at Frenzy. We did that last night, so I don't think we're gonna have a problem today.
The two of you have been playing together for nearly 2 years, which is actually so rare in the Fortnite competitive scene. What is it that's kept you together?
I mean, we both speak the same language, and like we like each other, we play well with each other, and now like we're at some point being played together for like 2 years that we can like play with no comms and we'd be okay for like good part of the game. Of course, like at some point you gotta give information to your teammate because games are different every time, but yeah, we've just been playing together for so long, and it's weird to do a change now.
That sounds like we're Quebecois and there's not many of us, so we have to stick together. But I know that there's genuine love between you two as teammates. Can you tell me, Pamstu, about what it was like when Fatch did start to get his wrist injury at the end of last year, because he had to take a month out, but you decided to wait for him?
Yeah, Fatch had a wrist injury like around December. When he told me about it, I was kind of like upset, but I just knew that Fatch would, when we will come back, he will always be good. So I wasn't really stressed or anything, and I just waited for him patiently.
And now here you are in Denmark, and I know that you would like to say something to the fans watching around the world. And there are some French fans in the audience, maybe you could win them over. And I know you'd both like to speak, so if you'd like to take the middle spot, I'm gonna let the two of you speak to your fans.
Let's go les Québécois et les Français, on va gagner pour vous. On va essayer de mieux vous représenter au Québec, puis envoyez-nous de la force, puis les Français aussi, si vous pouvez nous aider un petit peu à y passer aujourd'hui, ça pourrait aider. Merci.
I think you might have won the French fans over as well as the ones watching you at home in Canada. Thank you so much for talking to me. I do believe our friend Levin2K right now is in the Creator Lounge, so let's see who he's got.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Yes, we are in the Creator Lounge, and I'm here with Squatting Dog, but I can't... here he is, there he is. Squatting Dog, such a funny fella, such a funny fella. It's actually your birthday, right?
It is my birthday, in fact, yes.
How are you celebrating your birthday?
Hopefully with Mama Benji Fishy and Kanata, because we're all sharing it.
Oh, wow, wow. Lots of birthdays today. Well, hope you're having a wonderful birthday, a great place to be on your birthday. Tell me, how's it been so far? How are you finding the atmosphere here in the arena? All the fans, you met any crazy fans so far?
So many crazy fans. Everyone out here is fantastic, all of you. So fun to be around. The screen is massive. And, like, I think this is going to be an event that we will all cherish for a very long time coming. So if you are here, we're so stoked you're here. This is a blast.
It has been really, really fun in that. I have to ask you though, is there anyone in particular you're supporting? Anyone you got your eyes looking out for? Of course, today is the lower bracket day, right? It's a lot more on the line. You know, some teams are going home after today. How are you feeling about that? Who are you supporting?
There's a lot of pressure on the players. I think I'm looking for Kanata up there, a fan favorite of mine. And then I think when I talk to a lot of people out there in the crowd, they're saying Clicks, you know, and I think that's a common answer as well. So we hope the best for him as well, yeah.
100%. Clicks is, you know, the guy that everybody wants to see well. I have to ask you though, right? You know, people want me to ask this, so, you know, this is coming like it's a very important question right now. How do you think you'd fare in a competition like this one?
Like this one?
Yeah. No more funny business. Let's get to the serious stuff. Back to you on the desk, Zeke.
Dang it, Spawning Dog. Oh, Levin2K. What a guy. What a character, that guy. But as you can tell, vibes are high here today. There is quite a bit of seriousness, of course, as some of these players are kind of looking to start getting themselves prepared. But it's good to break things up with a nice little laugh here and there.
Yeah, I mean, you put those two together, you're bound to get a laugh. 100%. Levin, he's tough to be around sometimes. He's always trying to throw a joke.
He's tough to play duos with as well. So I think if they duo together, yeah, that'd be fun.
Wow, Levin, way to not play duos with me. That's cool. Anyway, guess what? We are getting ever closer to starting the competition. Why don't we send it on up to our casters to get us prepped?
This has been phenomenal. Just to even start the show, the fans all over are erupting. And honestly, I expect the Royal Arena to open up at some point because they are going to blow the roof off this place.
And to be completely fair as well, I think most of us would have the same reaction as Squatting Dog if asked that question, because these guys that are competing here today, I mean, we might be looking at the lower bracket matches, but these are still some top competitors.
Yeah, and I don't think any one player has kind of an upper hand here today, because if we seen yesterday, I think there's a couple players that we're seeing today that everybody would have predicted to be at the top of that leaderboard, taking a break onto Sunday, and that's one thing everybody has to get through their mind. Nothing is guaranteed, everything is earned.
And just like that though, you have to keep in mind, everything has been building for this moment. These players have been waiting for their opportunity to find their seat on the battle bus for Global Championship Sunday. So we've got the stage set, ready to go.
ザエルさん、かっけー。
めっちゃかっけえ。すごいね。現地行ってみたいの。やばいね、現地。えぐいね。っていうか、ここにさ、日本人が行ってるっていうのがすごいよね。
フリー、ザエルさん、見てる人全員やばって言ってますね。わら。
やばいよ。
Just 25 duos can make tomorrow's grand final. We have so many players nervously lining up behind that stage, ready to meet their fate. In Copenhagen, I think we should lend them your voices right now. Are you ready to meet your players? I said Copenhagen! Are you ready to meet your players? Let's bring them on.
It's not about how
フ
hard
リ
you
ー、
fall.
ザエル
It's
さん、
about
もう
how
こ
you
れ、
pick
オリンピッ
yourself
クと
back
変わん
up.
ない。
These
わら。
guys plan to do just that today. They want to continue their dream. They want to continue that journey to the global championship final.
What happened yesterday doesn't matter. This is a new lobby with new competition. And if there's any takeaways from their day one, it's that all it takes is one good game to break through.
This is what they plan to do. Take a couple of those moments from yesterday, the experience, everything that they have learned, and put on a show for the Royal Arena to keep it all going.
Second chances do not come often. Everyone wants today to be the start of something great, and it all begins with this competition.
And this is it. Lower bracket. Everybody's ready to take their seats. They're ready to start to play the game. You hear the chants of the crowd going loud. They're ready to make some noise.
So take it all
でも
in.
言うてさ、
Enjoy the
言う
walk
てこう
down.
やって世界のプレイヤー見た中でも、日本のプレイヤーはイケメンだと思う、俺は。
You can feel it. You can feel it in the air. The tension is
Matthew
real.
san,
Yesterday, those players were a lot more animated. Today, the focus is next level. We saw them there for a moment. Kanada and Agers, a duo that if you had said they're going into the lower bracket, I would have said, nice, that's a funny joke. But here they find themselves.
Kanada and Agers, your Chapter 4
フリ
Season
ー、ザエルさん、
3
酒が
Major
回
3
る。
champions coming
Yes,
straight out of
I can
NA,
love you.
representing. Honestly, yesterday was a little bit rough for them. They were contested by the greats Thomas and Malabuka, but today it's a different story. They're going to be uncontested, and if there's anything that I know about Kanada, it's that when he is uncontested every single game, he's going to find the damage needed for Storm Surge and find every single one of those end games.
Of course, and I mean, as you saw them on screen there for a moment, the French fans, we got a duo for you. It's Podesai, it's Snazy finding themselves here in the lower bracket, but the fight's not done. That's right! Make some more noise! Mini Miter, what can they do?
Yeah.
What can they do? What can they change to make it happen today?
Yesterday wasn't great for them. It wasn't a great day. But they can come back. They can definitely come back. They couldn't quite make it to endgame yesterday. Such a little bit of a problem for them. And we're talking about a duo in Snazy who has LAN experience. He was at the World Cup. I think they're going to need those fans today. I think they're going to need them on top form. And it looks like so far they're definitely doing that.
For sure. Now, of course, we've seen these duos yesterday, but there's 25 from the last chance major we have not met yet. So let's go ahead and meet half of them right now.
Our first group of our last chance major qualifier teams, and let
フ
me
リ
tell
ー、
you,
ザエル
they
さん、
hope
S
that it's
ボアッ
not
ツ
the
やとかあ
last
ったら
time
多
that
分
you
みんな
see
レ
them
ッド
here
S、
this
こっ
weekend.
ちずっ
They're
と言って
looking
ま
to
す。
put everything they've learned throughout the year to the test here against some players that already have the experience on the stage.
Well, just because it's their first time on stage does not mean it's their first time competing. They are familiar with what it takes to find themselves the victory royales that matter most so they can keep their ticket punch for the global championship.
And with their backs up against the wall, they realize the situation that they're in. It is go big or go home. And let me tell you, with a long flight for some of these guys, they don't plan on making that come to fruition. This is just one group of so many superstars you're going to see this entire weekend.
フリー、ザエルさん、手出す。
A high-profile duo, Janice and Reason, will finally get to take the stage. Now, Mini Minor, what can we expect from this duo from EU?
We can expect excitement, right? We have Janice, the big brain IGL, FNCS winning pedigree across different seasons. Reason, considered one of the best fighters in EU still. And I'm surprised it's taken them to the last chance major to qualify for today. I mean, after day number 1 of Major 1 of Grand Finals, they were in first place. They had an incredible performance, but ended up coming 3rd in that major, so just missing out on a spot. They had a little bit of contestation issues in the last chance major as well, so they just about battled their way through. But I'm glad they are here because they can put on the
Absolutely, and a duo from NA, Scented, Polarized. Now, of course, we know Scented has kind of shuffled around a couple times, but now paired up with Polarized. Or maybe fans that aren't familiar with them that are watching the Global for the first time. David, what can you tell us about this duo?
I mean, Scented is going to be the brains of this duo, throwing it back to Invitational, where we saw him alongside Cold. But coming into this year, the search for a new duo began. Honestly, really until it was Major 3, where he picked up Polarized, but they found no success there. And then, of course, the last chance major is where they clutched up. If it's anything that I know about Scented, he's going to be looking towards the low ground. He loves being down there, especially when he was alongside Cole. It looked like they just ran anybody that was in their way. I'm expecting to see more of that today.
The last half of the duo from the last chance major arena. Give them a welcome.
Last but certainly not least, our final group of players taking the stage, qualifying through the last chance major. They felt this pressure before, and like Levin said, it either bursts pipes or makes diamonds, and they're trying to shine bright this weekend.
These contenders have already proven that they know how to prevail through a last chance situation, and today's going to be no different. The Global Championship Battle Bus is leaving with or without you. It's time to see which 25 teams will claim their seats.
Those seats are a hot commodity this weekend. Only 50 teams will be able to make it there. We saw half of them qualify yesterday. Today, we will secure our final entrance onto that battle bus. Who do you want to see take it all?
Jacob PR, I need to give you a job as just my hype man. I just need you to follow me around and hype up everything that I do. But man, oh man, now we have the full lobby of players. Now, we wanted to highlight one in particular here for you. It's Kirby and it's Wikasi. Now, originally, they were part of 2 separate duos, but their duo mates couldn't make it. So now they've been allowed to come together and form one duo for the Global Championship.
This is a really interesting storyline. Kirby and Wixie, of course, coming from different regions, a little bit of a language barrier potentially there, so they're going to have to sort of use the in-game tools to communicate, landing it to the north side of the map, just to the west of Sanguine Sweets. Really interesting drop spot. I think they might have a few issues with Storm Surge, with teams actually using that massive mountain that's just outside of that drop to take advantage of them, but anything can happen. This is why I wanted to talk about this year, because literally anything can happen. We've never seen them play together before, so literally, who knows what's going to happen?
It's a little bit of an X factor, right? You never know what could happen, and Fortnite loves to do this thing where when you don't know what could happen, that's when the craziest things happen. A last duo here, FKS and Adapter. What do you want to talk about this duo, Vid?
Listen, I mean, I love where they are dropping. Kinjitsu crossing. Of course, we saw Queasy and Eveno do very, very well from this drop spot yesterday, right? Kind of taking the reins over from them. And honestly, I was looking towards them. I was like, hey, I think they can do very good from this drop spot. but of course it's the lower bracket, it's Fortnite, it's the global championship. We love to always mix up a little bit of drama in there. And I was checking out socials a little bit earlier on this morning, and it looks like Suns and Anon might be switching over to contest this duo. So my eyes are going to be towards that fight as we jump in to these first couple of games.
That is crazy. And if I remember correctly, these guys were at Invitational, right? So they already have some LAN experience. Do you feel like that could play a factor coming in today?
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about it, right? Any of the duos that have experience, especially the ones that have been, you know, together when it comes to an international event or just playing in person alone. And then, of course, you know, some of these duos, one half of them kind of have that experience as well. So I'll be excited to see, you know, if they can kind of take the reins and make sure that they stay cool, calm, and collected under the pressure.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned they're now contested, because that just shows what the lower bracket can do. Anything can happen. These guys would have been preparing to be uncontested. Now they are contested by Suns and Anon. I mean, that's going to throw a huge spanner in the works, and that is crazy, because they would have been preparing, yes, we're going to rotate here to get our surge, go and landing us, we'll be chilling, we'll be enjoying ourselves. Next thing you know, 2 Australians, they're flying in, and things are all going out the window. All the plans are like, hang on a sec, what's happening here? So this is why we talk about adaptability so much, not only in the whole game, the whole meta, the whole season, per day in this format. That's when you need to be adaptable as well.
And I wanted to kind of bring it back to full circle. Something we talked about originally was it's only 5 games. We're used to kind of seeing either 6 games one day or a total of 12, right? Spread across. Only 5 games, though it's 1 less. It sounds like, it's just 1 less game. It's actually that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely tough. And one thing that I want to talk about, right, when it comes to the mentality that the players must be thinking about to qualify to the global championship, right, for these upper bracket teams, you pretty much had to place bare minimum top 10, right? And that's EU, that's a very, very large region. But for a lot of the smaller regions, it was a lot tighter for that, right? So they're used to kind of like winning or placing very, very high. Yesterday, they had to get bottom 25, right? So surely that's kind of affecting the mental a little bit. But then those last chance major teams, they're used to clutching up. I mean, they made it all the way to the last event of the year, right? The last one to actually make it to the global championships, they clutched up. Today is a clutch situation.
Yeah, I want to see that's anonymous with Steno and Lucy. I was speaking to a few people earlier, a few people were around me. I was like, who do you think's going to win today? I think they were Danish. They said Steno and Lucy. And they're Danish as well, of course. This is a fantastic. I'm excited to see how this year. Yeah, give it a little round of applause.
Wow.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, give it. Because, I mean, these guys are fantastic. I really love watching them play. They just seem to know how each other plays so well. They vibe off each other so well as well. And, of course, they have LAN experience as well. They did so great at Game of the Day. I think it was last year they did so great. So I'm excited to see if they can continue and bring that LAN experience, that chemistry that they have in a LAN environment to this event. Because, I mean, they have the fans for it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's say, you know we have these 5 games. Do we just send everything, right? At this point, we've got to make top 25. You could argue maybe just try and do something and kind of keep any kind of strategy secret and just hope that you can kind of save that for tomorrow. With only 5 games, though. Is that enough wiggle room, man? I feel like it's just not. You just got to go full send now.
Nah, I mean, if you're holding back now, I think you're trolling a little bit, honestly, right? I mean, full send for sure. And that's the thing, though, about Fortnite. And I love the fact that you're talking about strategy, because I feel like we have 2 major different play styles, right? People who like to play a little bit more passive, and then we have those aggressive duos, ones that are looking for those 1 pop-off games with 10+ eliminations. I'll be excited to see which duos kind of pull out each one of those strategies.
Yeah, and of course, I think you have to just use the strategies that you practice for the first couple of games. If things go wrong and you have to pull out the grand final strategy, then do it. Because if you don't do it now, you might not even make it to the grand final. So there's no point in hiding them away. We saw some great strats yesterday from Zagu and Pepper with using the shield mushrooms to get some extra surge. Some great ideas from these teams that we haven't seen on other regions, and that's what this is all about.
Social media yesterday and even today was just like, what is their strategy? Yes, that's what we want to see. We want to see what they're thinking, what they're cooking, and then come out tomorrow, and that could be like the difference maker, them winning and becoming global champions. That would just be wild. Another duel, you know we cannot not talk about them. It's King, it's Phaser. They did not make the top 25, but yesterday, King hit just the most disgusting snipe shots. The double back-to-back to the dome to secure Surge as well. What can they do here?
I mean, that's just skill. seriously, there's no like coach, there's no VOD revealing that'll allow you to hit those shots. So, you know, obviously the skill is on this duo. It's just all about clutching up, right? Finding the cohesion. And I think today they're actually switching up their drop slots, so I'll be excited to see if it ends up working out for them in that regard.
Yeah, they're sort of switching up the way that they drop all the way down there at the Relentless Retreat. We saw them sort of contesting a team there yesterday. It was Cal Gamer and 7-Man. They're both still going there, but they're doing it in a different sort of way. I'm interested to see how that all spawn goes. I think for both teams, it didn't really work out. They were both sort of stuck in no man's land. What's going on? Are we going to try and fight? Are we going to try and disengage? I didn't even know what was going on there, so maybe they're going to try and be a little more structured today. They're going to either fight or they're going to disengage. I think it's going to be the latter because the stakes are that much higher.
You saw him on screen there for a moment. Kanata, Agers.
Oh.
Let's bring it back, okay? Kanata, Agers, going up against Thomas HG yesterday. It felt pretty one-sided, right? They had a couple games off.
マッピーさん、ドイツとスウェーデンの間。
Nope. Nope. And honestly,
グリー、ラエルさん、一番司会者がすごいまでありますよね。
but Kanata, you know, he had the socials. He was like, yeah, we only made it all in 2 games. And both of those games, headshots. Yeah. Headshot snipes actually were the ones that actually ended up closing out their games for them in both of those scenarios. So maybe there's something they have to switch up a little bit there. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment. Maybe they're not used to dealing with those snipers, but I'm sure they can do it.
I mean, the biggest problem for this team throughout this whole year was Storm Surge coming out of that racetrack spot. And they were uncontested. They made the number 3 grand finals. They fixed their Storm Surge problems. And Vivid, would you like to remind me what happened in Major 3 grand finals?
ラエルさん、真ん中。
That's right. So hopefully today, if they can find that same mentality, that same way of playing, they'll be alright.
Well, I'm getting word. It is that time. We are about to kick off the lower bracket of Global Championship Day number 2. So casters, take us in.
Now is the moment you have all been waiting for. Game 1 of the lower bracket is ready to get underway. And Taco, if I had a seat here, I would be on the edge of my seat ready to call this action.
You can feel the nerves that have just been kicking the entire time. Everyone here is just wide awake. And the battle bus is as well, because we're already heading into game number 1.
ゼロロさん、こんばんは。
ゼロ君こんばんは。いや、かっこいいね。ここまで来るとかっこいいのマジで。
グリー、ラエルさん、始まった。
The continued journey for others. We've already seen some drop spots being switched up. Other players are sticking straight to the plan, but we're going ahead and looking at some of these contested battles right out of the game. Reason and Janice going up against Curb and Whiskey a little bit, but it looks like they're actually going to split off. They don't want to go ahead and hold on to one spot, and as soon as they realize it's safe, they go back to the game plan.
Up at the far north side, Giannis immediately headed for this crew hardware drop. It seems as though Giannis and Reason, maybe with the intentions of not trying to eat early surge damage, but as we can tell, the 50-50s, they have begun. Teams that got the better drops already letting their opponents know.
いや、これ初動でやられるの切ないね。世界大会まで来てさ、初動でやられるの切なくないマジで。
Fell below that top 25 threshold, looking to make up for it here today. Pamstu and Fatch, on the other hand, they thought they were going to have a huge contested battle. We saw it yesterday, but it doesn't look like Stains and Data are going to go ahead and contest them, or at least not right out of the gates.
Maybe taking a moment to reconsider things, given how the circumstances went up against Seti and Cammy yesterday. But here at Jujutsu Crossing, Adapter, KS, trying to be careful. They know that they've got pressure looming elsewhere inside of this POI. It's going to be Suns and Anon, who actually seemingly switched up. Initially, were appearing as though Suns and Anon were going to head towards Naughty Nets, but maybe because of the deal and Savage's presence, thought otherwise.
Yeah, they had it uncontested yesterday. Did not work out for them. So I feel like they're just confident. They're ready to take whatever challenge is going to be before them. They want a little bit more loot, a clear path towards the middle of the zone, even though this time it's on the corner. And right now they're trying to go for the flag, and third-party shots already interrupting this off-spawn battle. That's going to force Adapter back, and he might have to go ahead and loot. He only has one combat SMG and not much to work with. But while they giving him time, that's FKS. They're trying to put the pressure on, so that way his teammate can get a better loadout.
But at the same time, they're just letting the capture point go for free. And in fact, it seems like there is some danger hanging on over by Naughty Nets. Saw a nice collection elimination there from Steno onto Mr. Savage. That could definitely play some spoiler effects for game 1.
But if Vidio finds himself alive somehow, some way, You heard all the nice things Mr. Savage said about him, but make some noise. Clicks and Epic will contested over towards Mega City, but I feel like that's no different. All season long, they've been contested about 2 or 3 other teams, but there's so much space to work with. There's so much loot to share. As long as they don't get caught off guard, it's business as usual.
But at the same time, there is so much traffic inside of Mega City, and as far as the vault is concerned, there's definitely something worth fighting over. You have to expect that regardless of where that high card spawn is at, people are going to be looking to make sure to take out whoever actually secures that vault key card.
Oh, wow. Actually, they weren't necessarily contested. They were taken out on their drop. You saw Video go ahead and get that reboot card, trying to give his teammate a second chance at life. Oak is here, ready to put some respect on his name, already getting 1 elimination. He's looking for another, but first he has a stop to make. Let's clean up this loot. Let's try to get as jam-packed as possible. You see the fallen teammate, Deguro, was going to be right above him. He knows no matter what, as he continues his journey, he's going to have to try to get that reboot card, because doing this alone is not something anybody wants to face.
But at the same time, that siphon there for Okis definitely gave him a nice little bit to work with in comparison to Dieta, who doesn't have shields. If Okis wants to pressure this, he's definitely more than capable of doing so, but it seems as though his mentality right now is just to stay on the move. Being in this sort of solo situation, deep in the jungle biome here at Rumble Ruins, especially in this lower elevation territory, he might be able to sneak up on some other teams.
Yeah, I like the way you mentioned Surge as one of the first things, because yesterday, if it's shown us anything, Surge is not the easiest thing to come by in a lobby like this. And uncontested this time around, Canal and Agers getting a chance to fight off spawn, and immediately they go to what they know works from the past, trying to get Surge underneath their own belt, so that way they don't have to worry about it too much later in the game. But Vico and Pink, another team that has experience from day one, contested by Acorn and Cold. This time around, they're ready to take their fights to their opponent. And on the other side of things, it is going to be Bully and Shadow.
But look at this hype battle as well between Pink and Bully, both of them trying to provide cover fire for their fraggers down below. As far as Vico and Shadow are concerned, a little bit of a pause here. Not definitely trying to challenge. Seems as though Vico is trying to look for a regroup circumstance, but again, you have to keep some form of a barrier between yourself and another team. Bully just trying to do what he can as far as making sure that he's able to suppress Pink in the process, but they're not trying to give up any sort of resources for free here.
Yeah, and you can kind of already see in the mini-map just a little bit. You've seen it here. Bully and Shadow, they had no intention on trying to take that engage. They split up to try to get even more Surge early on in the game before the zone does get too small. Snazy and Podesai probably have the fan favorites on their side in the stadium. I hear them loud and proud already, and they're trying to go ahead and use that energy to fuel them here today. A little bit of a misstep on day one, but they're picking themselves up, dusting themselves off, and ready to put on a show.
Just because you stumble doesn't mean you fall, and it's got to be such an invigorating feeling knowing that you have so many fans in the venue just cheering for you every step of the way. It's not even like these guys are getting a piece of the action right yet. They're just moving, and you've got the French fans cheering for them. It's just awesome to see that kind of display.
One of the best controller players in the lobby. Polarized, teamed up with Scented over on the other side. They're taking the split that in day one belonged to another team. It's probably part of their strategy. Use this to try to qualify. We'll figure it out later, because that's the biggest things. At this stage in the game, there's no reason to save all your secrets for that championship Sunday, because you have to be able to make it there. Mini Miner said it himself to open up the show, because what good are those strategies? What good are those tricks underneath your sleeves if you're not able to use them in the biggest moments possible?
Trouble now. Not for Podesai just yet, kind of lurking around this bush. He knows that he's got a couple contenders down beneath him, and as for Shalom and MK Papa, they want to take their time. I mean, kind of tough to try and fight that uphill battle, quite literally. So instead, just continue to wait things out, wait for a better opportunity to look for a rotation out. It can be difficult as well when you're playing right here on the edge side of where these zone pulls are happening, because again, for Podesai, it seems as though the intent is just to prioritize positioning.
One team that changed their positioning overall to another. King, Phaser. You can already see they're over towards Shattered Slab. Zone is pulling all the way towards the eastern side of the map. They have a long journey to go, and you can even see it at the edge of Mega City here on Pink and Vico. So they have even more rotations to go later on in the game. But for now, it's Batman, Booga, and Rapid who beat him to the punch. The top of the hill, just west of Mega City. And they immediately got out of Mega City because that's one of the things we talked about to start the show is how contested it actually is. They could easily take a building on top, but they're taking a little bit of the safer route or what they thought would be because right now Pink and Vico are slowly but surely looking like they're going to try and sneak up and see if they have any opportunity to take over. But as you can see in the mini-map, they're going to choose to go the other way. It's not something they want to battle this early on in the game.
You can already see some shots, though, coming from a little bit of a distance here. Rapid just trying to be wary of his surroundings, and it makes perfect sense why you'd want to ditch from Mega City ASAP when there's 4 separate teams landing there. Again, it's just so much traffic to actually deal with, so why risk it when every single game can be so important? I think for Rapid and Batman Booga, not necessarily getting max resources, max materials, it's not as bad as it might initially look because they can always find the refreshes after the fact because again, Storm Surge strategies were definitely an issue for a lot of teams in day 1. And this is day 2. It's not like the competition's gotten any less.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these teams taking that prime real estate to where they know players are going to rotate into. Video. We've seen him go for the reboot card onto Mr. Savage. Uncontested North nets. That's a no-brainer that he's going to get him back into the game. Back up as a duo, but as you can see in the minimap, they are split up. They called out this strategy to start the game. They're trying to cover more ground. They're trying to take more space away. This also allows them to get better lines of sight around the map for their Storm Surge. They already know what has happened in the past when Storm Surge is lacking. It forces you to make plays. It's almost like you don't have control over the game, and they are trying to do their best to keep control of their own destiny.
It's definitely something that has haunted Mr. Savage and Vidal all chapter long as far as Major 3 is concerned, even leading into that last chance major where we saw them switching up their drop spot even over to Drift Ridge. It's because of the fact that Mr. Savage is mentioning he doesn't like to be contested but it's still never easy whether you're uncon or contested as far as establishing a solid Storm Surge strategy.
Yep, Fanayan and Moneymaker. Moneymaker probably one of our youngest players competing here today, showing that anything is truly possible as long as you have a chance, and they've given themselves just that, an opportunity on the biggest stage in the world when it comes to Fortnite. Scope Salvo, 2 of the biggest ones that are needed when it comes to Storm Surge. It's going to allow them to keep their distance and keep hitting those shots.
Like seeing this from Kitos as well. Talking about augments, but right now the prioritization's onto Snazy. And it's looking good. Trying to see if they can push forward in this box fight. Shots being taken by Fortnite as well, just to even trade out so far. No real damage inflicted by either side just yet. But UA and Jamon, they can definitely feel the pressure, and Podeside definitely aware of the fact that they've got more company coming.
We're already taking advantage of their positioning high up on the side of that mountain, trying to third party take some shots onto both Pink and Vico, who took down Okus, adding more to their own Storm Surge. Weapon cache are going to be there, and you can see Yuma and Jamon probably share that same weapons cache, so they're going to be forced to wait till Snazy and Podesai leave off of this spot to try to pick up the scraps, figure out whatever is left along. But a team that, you know, taking a lot of time towards Slappy Shores. My only question for them is how is their surge? Because a lot of the teams are on the western side of the zone for now. They haven't begun to rotate over towards Slappy Shores. Not a lot of teams landing here right out of the gates. So for them, that's probably what's on their mind right now. We've looted up, we've gotten everything we need. Now we just need Storm Surge.
And hey, we're talking about Storm Surge so often. For Pink and Vico, this is going to be a massive contributing factor, getting that elimination onto Okus, just taking full advantage of that 2v1 situation. And that's something that's not necessarily going to be easiest to come by at this stage of the game. And for Rapid and Batman Booga, again, we revisit, we talk about the fact they left Mega City so early, and they just haven't managed yet to find that pressure situation to actually secure eliminations for the refreshes that they would like. And they don't necessarily have time to just farm resources either, because there's other teams moving in at this point. There's other teams already establishing good positioning off of earlier rotation. So if you're trying to expend your time farming resources, you're just going to keep getting lit up.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at 7-man's inventory now, you can already see they won the ball over towards Relentless Retreat. but it's a little unorthodox. Typically, you would grab something to pack a punch, whether it's a Sharp Tooth, an Infiltrator, or even a Maven, but he's going to go without it for now, hoping that that Mythic Stinger does more than enough damage in a moment's notice to be able to survive. It all depends on how you control that recoil, honestly, because I remember that thing go brr.
It's so obvious that the intention, though, is that up-close and personal battle. The question is, will they actually manage to force themselves into that type of situation? And Rift Island can definitely be a location where we'd expect those battles to come, but even all throughout day one, we hardly saw any sort of contestation over this Rift Island. Sending all the way up, though, definitely having some issues as far as maintaining his shields are concerned. Those are going to be completely depleted. Granted, they have ample shield potions to make up for it, but it's going to be Hen, it's going to be Bass actually looking to contest. They don't want to let this Rift Island objective points go for free.
If only they saw the damage that was put on both these players before they even touched down on the island. Surely they would try to take advantage of it. And you can see one man's trash, another man's treasure. Mero and Cooper sneaking up on the side, trying to take away the position. The French team of Daisy and Podesai also willing to contest this Rift Island. And that's one of the things I was thinking. It was very, very passive yesterday. Even solos were able to take it. But as the VOD review goes on, as time passes, players are going to realize there's nobody up there. But when everybody thinks the same, now we have 4 teams on top of Rift Island ready to battle it out. One of them, Hen and Bask, 141 above the damage threshold. They're going to be the ones to contain it, plus 15 points for them. And that's going to be huge because we already see teams qualify with those points of the objectives.
Every little bit counts, but we've gotten a good idea of what's been happening directly in game so far. However, got a mid-game analyst to give us a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Taco. I just want to catch everyone up on our hometown heroes, Steno and Lush, who were able to get an elimination on Mr. Savage before he even hit the ground. Then we saw Steno be able to find a key, which he used to unlock a mythic shotgun. Quickly, they regrouped, built up a surge tower, and as you can see, they have vision on 2 duos of Jamin and Kanata, setting themselves up for an excellent mid and late game. So let's see how they do.
Only time will tell to see how it pays off. They definitely got themselves a good spot in the zone thanks to those plays.
And that's the thing, too, about those teams that are landing more towards the south side. It is so easy for other teams with slightly earlier drops to just pick you off with the elevation difference. It's one primary issue definitely known about that Naughty Nets area, but you can always expect to bounce back. I mean, we already saw the deal with the successful reboot ban onto Savage, so easy to say that anything can happen in these circumstances.
You can see it started at 181 above the damage threshold. Pamstu and Fatch slowly falling back down, climbing back up, trading shots back and forth. They have their eyes set towards Rift Island. They see a giant monument being built on top as Polaroids actually took down Snazy up above. And this is going to be a huge opportunity for them as they're just looking around. Nobody's directly pushing up onto them, even though they are split. They're just looking for these fights that are already underway and just trying to take advantage of it the best that they can. And just looking at the island right now, I didn't see Scented either.
Miro and Cooper are looking awfully vicious, though, in that position. You can just tell that they are waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike, and it's got to be only a matter of time. They can tell that there is so much chaos already unfolding on top of this Rift Island. Teams are just constantly under pressure, both outside and right here directly at the Rift Island. But for Vask and for Hen, again, you have to remember, they're the ones who actually secured the capture point here. So they've got some decent loot to go with it. And Miro and Cooper, if there was ever a time to try and take down another team and, you know, get plenty of refills as far as your materials are concerned and your weapons, that is definitely the opportunity.
Yeah, the nation feed is lighting up. A lot of players being forced to interact with each other thanks to that storm surge. Seeing Vortex go down. Even Duke's trying to rise to the occasion here today after his performance yesterday, trying to qualify for the FNCS Global Championship Final tomorrow. Jamon goes down. Yuma's going to have to leave him behind, but he's only 72 above the Storm Surge threshold, but now he's becoming the focus of multiple teams in this lobby right now. It's not looking good. HP is going to be down low. Shields are going to be ripped off, and the shots continue. Finally, though, he does have a short moment to breathe, but that's only going to give him enough time to pop one Mimi. The Shalom and MK Pop are over on the other side. They probably know that he's a solo. They saw him crash land in with that rocket ram, and this is something that they're trying to to take advantage of.
For Shalom and MK Papa, they've just been playing bouncer responsibility on this edge of zone, and granted it just moved in a little bit tighter, but for Yuma, now you can see him starting to get lit up by some of that storm surge. Accountability as far as your surge strategies are concerned, it can be very difficult to maintain it throughout because there's just so much action happening as some of the congestion builds along this edge of zone, and teams need to move further in. Players like Yuma are bound to get caught out in those later rotations.
They're willing to risk it. Shalom and MK Papa, they got the elimination, or at least they saw it towards the backside of zone, but they didn't have very many materials at all. So it's almost an all or nothing situation if they want to keep as best chance as possible for them to try to stay alive. I see a Vico. I don't see Pink. Got to imagine, yes, he is by himself as a solo, and he's suffering to surge right now. 13 below the threshold. Now he's in zone. Everything coming crumbling down. Only a few seconds to try to land the shot that matters, and he's not going to be given that opportunity. Down goes Pink. Down goes Vico.
But a massive pickup there for Yuma. He'll utilize that rocket ram to try and close the gap even further and make sure that he's maintaining a decent distance on that backside of the zone. Kanata, meanwhile,
今どんな感じ?
trying to be vigilant with his awareness. And again, so many teams just trying to keep tabs on where everybody else is in the lobby. Players like Ing, there are a decent amount of pressure here, but they will manage to prevail. Nicely timed shots, nicely placed aim as well with that sharp tooth to ensure that they can acquire that elimination.
Yeah, and since he got eliminated altogether, gotta imagine Moneymaker went down earlier on in this same game. We saw Polarize, the one that took down Snazy, leaving Podesai by himself. At least he's above the damage threshold for now, but quickly falling below. Now he knows he's going to have to try to find and catch somebody off guard, because otherwise he's going to have no choice but to try to get in the box. Slowly but surely biding his time, trying to make sure that he makes the right play. And this is an opportunity for him to really rise to the occasion by himself. And with Storm Surge shutting off for now, that at least allows him to breathe, restabilize himself in that position. Edgy goes down outside of zone. It wasn't a knock. So Duke and Edgy are also out of this game. Action is moving so fast, and we're not even into the placement points yet.
The zone pull, a little bit brutal for some of these teams as it just keeps getting closer and closer to that edge side. And again, for Agers and Kanata, as we get another opportunity to see from where we last left off with them, Kanata's got to be careful with his rocket ram on the landing. So many teams, and right on the side of this hill. It can be difficult. He's trying to work his way back up already. Fully understand the fact that he doesn't want to have to play from the low ground, but he'll be forced to take shelter, utilize some of his Memnis. Unfortunately for him, only has those mini shield potions, won't actually get an opportunity to get full shields. And for Agers, this is even worse.
Yeah, he only has 23 HP, doesn't have time to sit back. Nice shot to be fired. That is a huge something refresh for Agers, because now he's boosted up in the map. He has a little bit more HP to work with. The flopper, the med kit he can use in game, and if him Kanata can find a way to reunite, he has the minis and another knock onto Q and DX. Agers doing what he did in the championship run. The Siphon's going to be picked up, but he has to get to zone. This is a 5-tick. Time is running out, and another Menmith. Miracle upon miracle landing in the palm of Agers' hands.
He's trying to do what he can to make it across, but this hill phase is just so problematic. Still, the Medness plus the med kit, he just doesn't have the mobility that he'd be hoping for. With so many teams having already pushed in, he might just barely make it in the nick of time. He's got to find another site opportunity, but even just making it this far is more than enough.
I feel like I heard him on stage. Don't worry, Kanata, I'm coming. Don't worry. Med kit being used, minis being dished out, and they're back into the game. The resurgence from day one as we get a replay from Clix and Epicwell. One of the biggest teams everybody came to see. They get aggressed on due to Storm Surge, and they shine bright. Storm Surge is not a problem from them as they pick up 2 eliminations.
Check out where Bryce and Chubbs are at, a little bit more isolated than some of these other teams that are trapped inside of all this congestion. Mr. Savage and Badil, though, from Rags to Riches at the beginning of this game, they have done a decent, if not a phenomenal job at putting themselves into a comeback situation.
some of these teams who are asking, do you got what it takes to get your ticket onto the battle bus? What about the roller coaster this team's going through from down the mountain, across the rivers, over towards Naughty Nets? I think best case scenario, honestly, Taco, is it going south, continuing on towards that island. If it goes back on over to the west, this is going to be a nightmare for anybody that doesn't have maps, as Clicks is using the last little bit that he does have left, but he finds another elimination on the ping.
These perfectly timed rotations from Clicks, managing to find these players who are looking to just find that final push inward. But again, this is the beauty of being able to play from that backside of the zone. Still, Clicks, Epic trying to be careful, and we are getting a little glimpse here of a team that's momentarily on high. Whether or not Fishy and DNK are going to be able to hold this is a different question entirely, but for the time being, they look well situated to carry themselves into the top 10 at least.
Even though they have high ground now, they might have to wait for some of those teams below them to try to build that allow them to save some resources, save some maps as they make their way across the roster once more. Podesai, 131 below the damage threshold. Only a big pop to his name. So right now he's peeking through the cone. He's trying to just get as much information as possible. Where can I get this damage? But time is running out. He continues to fall well below that threshold as Savage picks up another elim. Vadil goes down, but it's actually Epic Well who falls to Mr. Savage, trying to keep himself alive. Storm Surge isn't a worry, but it's the HP, it's the zone that's pulling away.
So unfortunate though, Savage will be unable to do anything in terms of helping out the deal. Simply has to watch and wait, continue their run. That flopper though, along with the crash pads, does a great job placing him into the zone. Mr. Savage moving through all the traffic, eating shots as well, but doesn't care in the slightest. He's making his own path through.
He's not going to be the most healthy anybody in the lobby can be, but he's definitely going to give himself enough wiggle room to work with. His Click's now going to be a solo, probably one of the more prolific solo players in the game. He finds a knock on the head, unable to finish it up. He gets taken out by Podesai.
Podesai as well. The fact that he's managed to stay this far into the game as a solo, you just know that he's going absolutely insane right now, trying to keep the run alive. Rocket Rams as well, destroying so many people in the process. Materials refresh is going so far, and it's actually Bryce and Chubs now at the top of the lobby, but Bill's running incredibly low.
Yeah, multiple top 10 performances in the major this year. I think Bryce and Chubs are one of the teams that are falling under the radar. They're ready to make a statement, just like Komet, but he runs out of time, he runs out of space, he goes down as his Bendis runs dry.
Kanada. The patience. It's so hard to be patient through all this chaos as well. It's so easy to get distracted and think, okay, this is the perfect time to strike. A drop down to the low ground here for Kanada. Recognize the fact that he's got some players directly above him. Still has a couple of mini shield pushes he can utilize. Source, on the other hand, won't make it through. Cooper going absolutely nuclear with the back-to-backs here. Just one. He's actually got it.
It's actually Bryce and Chubb. I thought it as well. I thought Cooper just stole away the game, but it's Bryce and Chubbs. I called them one of the most underrated teams falling under the radar this weekend. They played phenomenally to make it to this point, and they make a statement here in game one of the lower bracket. Frankie, how are they feeling?
How are you feeling? I mean, my friends up in the karting booth would like to know, so I will ask you first, Bryce.
I'm feeling good.
Are you feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the fact that you just took a victory royale here on land in Copenhagen?
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Well, I can understand why you might be nervous. I do have a very scary face, so I'm going to come over to you, Chubbs. Talk me through the last moments of that game.
I don't know. We just took high and we won.
You took high. Okay, well, talk to me about the journey there. Did you feel like the zone was in your favor the whole time?
No, it wasn't at all.
Okay, well, how did you get around that situation then? How are you able to make the most of what maybe wasn't the most ideal situation?
We got surge and we had forecast, so we just went where the zone was.
There you go. Simple. Everyone hopefully listening here will find out how to win a victory royale on land thanks to these two. Just before I let you go, do you think you can overcome the nerves and pick up another victory royale today?
Yes, I think we can.
Brilliant. Well, you know what? Now you've said that, I think you can too. Copenhagen, please give it up for Bryce and Chubbs.
You know, I thought the games yesterday were Bryce and Chubbs taking forecast, using that to just help them get ahead of the storm, even though they were in the toughest spots. It didn't matter. They were able to adapt. Yes, there's some nerves.
Getting
asked, hey, you feel like the zones were in your favor? No, they weren't. I don't think they were in anybody's favor. I mean, a zone pulling over to naughty nets and then pulling back to the mainland. That was a roller coaster of a ride. But Bryce and Chubbs, they found the high ground in the end.
I mean, these guys are all the way to the north, even more north than Creaky Compound. So high up there